We are really at the dawn of a renaissance in data science. And I like to think of it as data science and machine learning will do for the 21st century what the Industrial Revolution did in the 18th and 19th century. I truly believe it will be that significant. And one of the reasons for that is that's what the data says. So this is, you look at in the last 5 years, there's only 10 companies that have outperformed the S&P 500 in each of the 5 years. And you look at a sampling of those companies and you say, well, what do they have in common? What they have in common is they've committed to a focus on data science and machine learning to differentiate their businesses. And this is just in the last 5 years, and the numbers support it. Think about when we're 5 years further down the road, 10 years further down the road. This is truly a renaissance that's happening right now. And this partnership between IBM and Hortonworks is what's going to bring this to the forefront and make it actionable for everybody. Rob talked about how data science is changing, and I think that's a really important point. Think about what data science has been for the last 20 years. It's primarily been proprietary platforms. It's been what I would call an expert model, where the smartest people in the room could do something, but not everybody could participate. It was deployed pretty much just on-premise, behind the firewall, and that was good enough for a while. The problem is, in a multi-cloud world that we now exist in, where you have a variety of public clouds and private clouds, and data is everywhere, that's not enough. So the nature of data science is changing, and it's changing to focus on open frameworks and languages, Python, Java, R, Scala, you name it. It's becoming a team sport. Data science has to be about collaboration. You need an environment where everybody in data science, regardless of what language or framework they want to use, can work together. And then you need flexibility in deployment. And what we've seen is data scientists all have a different preference. Some want to start on public cloud, and that's great. Others say, just give me something I can run on my desktop, because that's all I need. Others want to deploy it on their private cloud. So this is what the next generation of data science is about. It's about teams, it's about open languages and frameworks, and it's about deploying wherever and however you want. This is the second step in a journey that IBM has been on since the start of the year. Earlier this year in February, we announced that we've taken the machine learning capability out of IBM Watson, and we are making that available on the mainframe. And some of you may groan and say, oh, the mainframe that's been around forever. It absolutely has. And it happens to have the world's most valuable data. 90% of the transactional data in the world is sitting in a mainframe to this day. And our thesis that's really driven our product strategy is that this era of data science and machine learning is going to be about bringing the data science and machine learning to the data, not the other way around. So the first announcement in February was we're saying we're enabling you to do data science and machine learning directly on the world's most valuable transactional data, which is sitting right on your mainframe. And so then we started thinking, well, where do we go next? Because there's been massive interest in that since we announced it. And the logical step was to say, well, the next big place to attack is the world's big data. And when you look around the industry, it's pretty clear the best place to go for the world's big data is Hadoop, and specifically HDP. And so we are announcing that Data Science Experience will become the focused platform for HDP. And this is an interesting way to think about how we attack this, because Data Science Experience enables you to work in open languages, open frameworks, but it also enables you to ingest models that you may have built in SPSS or in some other tool. So it's opening up the world of data science directly onto your Hadoop data. And if you think about it, if you got your mainframe data covered and you have your Hadoop data covered, that's almost all the data in your organization. Sure, there's some other pieces here and there, but that's a lot of it. Data Science Experience. We launched this a year ago. We launched it on public cloud. And to me, this is what happens when data meets great design. Very elegant, intuitive user interface. It's all about collaboration. You go into data science experience, you can invite your other team members into it. If you want to build models in Python, go for it. If your teammate is building models in SPSS or in R or in Java, you can still work with them. You can share snippets of code. You can share data sets. This is modernizing how data science will be done for this next generation. We've integrated things like data governance. One of the biggest challenges that anybody faces around data science is, well, do I have permission to access that data? Is it tied into the governance strategy of my company? We take care of that inside a data science experience. And then lastly, it's about education. Because the world does not have enough data scientists. I think we can all agree on that. Every organization that I visit say, we love the team we got, I just wish we had 10 times as many people that could do the same type of work. So we've built education into the platform. When you're in data science experience, there's a little bar on the side. You can get training videos done right there. So anybody can become a data scientist by using data science experience. When we launched the focus on the mainframe back in February, we also launched what we call machine learning hubs. And the idea behind a machine learning hub, it started here in Silicon Valley, was we said we need a physical space where anybody can go to learn how to apply data science and machine learning in their organization. We had so much interest for this, we couldn't even, we ran out of time in terms of the space that we had in Silicon Valley. So we expanded and we added a machine learning hub in Germany, one in India, one in China, and one in Toronto, so we could cover everything. And since the time that we've been doing this, we started keeping a top 10 list. So what are the top 10 use cases that we see that clients are wrestling with on the topic of machine learning and data science? And you can see them right here. And they're different for every industry, as you may expect. And so I put a URL up here on this slide. So if you visit that URL, we're going to continue to update the top 10 throughout the year. Every day, we have clients coming through the Machine Learning Hub, bringing their problems. And so this top 10 will probably change. We'll actually be interested to see how much it changes over time, but I expect it will continue to change in time. Community is a critical part of everything that we're doing as two companies between IBM and Hortonworks. And one thing that we noticed early on where Rob and I were talking was, between our two companies, we've got a pretty significant presence in Apache communities as contributors and as committers. And in fact, when you combine the two companies, we have more than 3x the contributors and contributions than the number 2 player, and nearly the same amount as the top 10 combined. And that's a huge responsibility that we have as this, because we ultimately become stewards for the community as we work together. And I think what you'll see as you work with IBM and Hortonworks on things like Atlas and governance and the next places go, we will focus very much on what the community needs, very much on what enterprise clients need, and this can have a huge impact for the community going forward. So stay tuned on that as well. So I want to thank you for your time. I'll leave you with this thought of, you all have now in your hands something that can change the nature of your business. If you go back to the point that I started, in the last 5 years, only 10 companies have outperformed the S&P 500 in each of the 5 years. And it's because they are doing something in applying data science and machine learning. All of you have that opportunity today as we've unleashed that on Hadoop data. We're actually, for everybody in the audience, we're going to give you a memory stick when you leave the building. Data science experience is right on it. Pop it into your laptop. You can start today. But for those watching on the live stream, you can go right to download it, or run it in the cloud, however you prefer to do it. So with that, I want to bring up the Vice President of Engineering for IBM Analytics, Dinesh Nirmal. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. How you all doing? It's never easy to come on stage right after your boss has spoken. You cannot do better, but you cannot do worse either. So make sure you give me a little last round of applause right after this. How many of you are data scientists in the crowd? Can you raise your hands? Oh, that's pretty good. So a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about is going to, about data science and machine learning. It's an exciting day, and it's a tremendous partnership that's going to transform the way we do machine learning and data science on big data. It's a bold statement, but it's a true statement. And I'm going to take you through, the data science experience that we GA'd in April. And then I'm going to take you through a demo, and then we'll become a lot more clear. So when we deliver data science experience in machine learning, we focused on some key tenets. One was simplicity. So today, if you're a data scientist, you're using let's say, a notebook, a Python notebook, or a R, or Scala, whatever you're using. To do visualization, you have to export the data somewhere else, and then you have to do visualization. You don't have to do that anymore with data science experience. You will see that in the demo. IBM has a technology called Brunel, which we have open sourced. Right there, you can visualize the data. And when we talk about simplicity, another thing we have done is that if you're a data scientist, a lot of times when you do the model building, what estimator do you pick? What algorithm do you pick? We have automated that piece using Cognitive Assistance for Data Science, which is a research project we did. And now we will pick the right algorithm for you. Scalability, it runs on Spark. So you can go up to terabytes of data using Spark. Choice, we have brought freedom into data science, whereby which you can pick which language framework you want to use. And last but not least, collaboration. Every single enterprise that we work with always talk about they have multiple teams, shops that's split in different locations. How do we collaborate? How do you use projects to make sure that these data science can collaborate with each other? So that is what data science experience is bringing to you, that 4 key tenets. And this shows you a machine learning flow. So when I look at a machine learning flow, there's 3 aspects to it. There's data, there's development of model, and there's deployment of model. 80% of a data science time is spent on cleansing or transforming the data. And that's a true statement. We have seen it over and over again, where you spend tremendous amount of time trying to clean the data. I'll give you an example. We were working with a large insurance company. Data is coming in, mainly the patient data, and a lot of times, the gender field is missing. You cannot execute a pipeline if the data values are missing. So we had to build a model just to predict the gender. So for example, if the patient goes for a prostate exam, we figured that's a male. And if the patient goes for a gynecological exam, obviously it's a female. So we had to build a model just to predict that part of the pipeline. So data becomes such a critical piece. Then there's the development of the model, where you have to obviously spend tremendous amount of time picking the right model, the right estimator, the right algorithm, getting the right score. And there's deployment of the model. The deployment of the model is where enterprises struggle. And that's where IBM machine learning and data science experience makes such a tremendous difference. Let me give you one more example. I was with the CTO of a major bank in Europe. And he said to me, Dinesh, I get the data science. We built the model. It took us 3 days. It has been 11 months. They still haven't deployed it. Because think about it. These enterprises, large enterprises, have third-party applications. They have application that's written in the 70s and 60s that the folks who wrote it is not even there. So how do you infuse machine learning into that core enterprise, that infrastructure? That is the challenge that our enterprises face. So if you look at those 3 steps, the deployment and the data are the key 2 parts of it. And I'll show you why IBM Data Science Experience is such a terrific product. I'm going to take you through the demo. I'm going to talk over it. So you come in. I talked about the community. I talked about the collaboration. And that's what you see in the first Obviously, you can go in there. We have thousands of data sets. We have already built notebooks that you can use. You also can use projects where you can collaborate. You can share the notebooks. You can, you also have the data sets. Defining connections. Simple. We talked about simplicity. You go there. You give parameters. In this case, we use the HDFS. For HTTP, you give the parameters. You click, load. It will connect. You will see the data set. Programmatic access. This is if you are a developer, you want to use a notebook, you can bring the notebook. In this case, you go through it. This is a customer churn data for a bank that we did. So it's a real customer churn data that we used for a bank. So you see it, right? We have something called CADS that I talked about, simplicity, cognitive assistance for data science. You can use that programmatically to pick the right estimator. So once again, you can do that. Now let me talk about Spark and Brunel. This one is where you can see the visualization. We contributed it back into community, but folks, look at it. Look at the visualization part. You don't have to export the data and go somewhere else. You can do it right there within the notebook. So in this case, if you're a data scientist for a bank, you can see, obviously Texas stands out. It's also the biggest state, but you can see from a color perspective. So when you are visualizing the data as a data scientist, especially the data scientists here, know the challenge they have. Now, we also have a guided interface. Let's say you're not a data scientist. You want us to do the heavy lifting. It's right there. You go pick the data sets. You get the data. We will do the training, and we will do the deploy. And you will see here, you pick the one, it will load the data, and then it will pick the right estimator. You can add any number of estimators. We put binary classification and regression in there. But here, you give the feature that you want, and then you can also adjust the data. You can have 80% of the data for the training or 60% of the data for training. In this case, it shows 96% done, save model, you're done. I mean, it took 3 clicks, less than 40 seconds on a 2 GB of data. Model deployment and prediction. Once again, you can go, right now it's online. We will come with batch and also streaming. You give the parameters, you say deploy, it deploys the model. Now, the biggest benefit is that once you deploy the model, you want to test it. You want to test it right then and there. And that's another benefit that we bring in, is that you can give the parameters, you can pick the features, and you can test it right there. So we are going to do some testing here, change some data, and we are going to say if that particular customer is a churner or not. So it shows there's a 96% chance that this person is going to be a churner. Another enterprise feature is model management and governance. We want to make sure that our customers can see how their models are doing visually. So it shows, 86% of the models are doing good. You also have a way by which you can say, if the model scores below a threshold, let me know. So it will generate an email for you to tell you that the model has gone down in value. It gives you the governance. We pull all the data from GitHub. We show when the model was deployed, where was it deployed? Was it deployed in production? Was it deployed in test, QA, all those things? Who changed it? The whole governance end-to-end. We give you the endpoint, so you can take that, plug it into your application program. You're ready to go. So folks, that's IBM Data Science Experience. We have focused on our core tenets. How do we make it simple? How do we make it scalable? How do we make it enterprise-ready? And how do we make it collaborative? Every single one is there. So I want you to go. We have a booth out there. We have T-shirts, and we also have, I want you to go out there and try it out, and also USB sticks. Let me talk about one more topic, which is deep learning. We are investing heavily in the cognitive side. IBM is maniacally focused on getting DL, ML leader in the industry. How do we do that? So we have IBM Power Systems. IBM Power System has delivered Power AI. Power AI is focused, once again, on simplicity, meaning we have DL Vision and DL Insight, which helps you prepare the data, develop the models, deploy, all those things simple. Power AI has done that. Choice. Once again, you want to use TensorFlow, you want to use Caffe, you want to use Torch, you can use it. We have enabled it. And last but not least, performance, price performance. Folks, 3 times, let me say that again, 3 times price performance than x86 for Hadoop workloads. I mean, that's just tremendous. That's awesome. And we guarantee it. I was told to say it again, guarantee it, okay? So, but that's Power AI. And last but not least slide is try it out. We want your feedback because you are going to drive, as we drive more and more open, as we drive more and more features into it, we want feedback. So come and tell us. datascience.ibm.com, we have a booth out there, like I said. We have USB sticks. You can go plug it in. It would take less than 10 minutes. I guarantee it. If not, send me an email. But with that, I want to say thank you. Great partnership, great news. Thank you, folks. Appreciate the time.